Namaste, everyone. As usual, we begin with three Oms. And before we do that, we can establish the group consciousness. So let's take a deep breath in and visualize everybody who is here within you. And we begin with take a deep breath in. Our usual disclaimer: when you attend this session, you do so with the understanding you're responsible for your own well-being. Life in Yoga and I and our volunteers don't take responsibility for the outcome of your participation here. So please exercise caution in what you do and do only within your ability. The guidance of yoga is that whatever you do should be done with such light effort whereby you can have meditative focus. In other words, there can be no strain whatsoever in whatever you do. So keeping that in mind, a good way to make sure you have no strain is to keep your awareness within, keep your eyes closed whenever you don't need to see what is being done. And the other part of it is watch your breath and make sure the breath is always slow and smooth. As long as it is slow and smooth, you're unlikely to make any kind of jerky movements or any strained movements that can potentially hurt. So with that as the guidance, let's begin with our chakra vibration. But a reminder for everyone, today is a special session where we are discussing the breath-related exercises, that is the pranayama exercises. So for beginners who are starting for the first time, you will have a detailed way of understanding why you do what, and at the same time also be able to experience how to do it correctly. Okay, so let's bring our awareness to the perineum. First, we will do the chakra vibration and then go on to the pranayama. Pressing on the little finger with the thumb, focusing at the perineum. As we squeeze, we do lum. Take a deep breath. Lum. Release the fingers and continue. Lum. Lum. Last time. Lam. Now bring the awareness an inch or so above the perineum, and this is behind the pubic area, and we do there Vam, pressing on the ring finger with the thumb. Release the fingers, continue. Now, bring the awareness behind the navel. As you draw in at the navel, we do Ram, pressing on the middle finger with the thumb. Release the fingers, continue. Ram. 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 Last time. Ram. Now bring the awareness to the middle of the chest in between the breasts, and here we do yum, pressing on the index finger with the thumb. Take a deep breath in. Yum. 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 Release the fingers. Continue. Yum. Yum. Last time. Yum. Bring the awareness to the throat, and here we do hum, thumbs up, loose fist. Hum. Release the hand. Continue. Now bring the awareness to the throat, and here we do hum, thumbs up, loose fist. Hum. Oh, we have done the hum, so we should go to chum, right? So bring the awareness to the middle of the head, we do chum. 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 Release the hand, continue. Chum. Bring your awareness to the top of the middle of the head, and there we do Om, thumbs up, loose fist. Release the hands and continue. Om. Last time. Now, observe the lightness you feel within you. Continue to keep your eyes closed and observe. And now we can begin the conversation on our breathing practices. So the first thing we need to address is, why are breathing practices important in yoga? And then we get to each type of practice and what they do to us. You all know that pranayama literally means it is the practice that regulates the prana, or the vital force, or the life force in our body. From a physiological perspective, it will be considered the oxygen, your breathing that is happening, that is taking in oxygen, and the oxygen and glucose coming in from the blood, circulating all over the body, giving the oxygen and glucose to every cell in the body, the heat that is created, the cellular respiration, and that heat that maintains the biomagnetism of the body. That is how you would explain the life force from a physiological sense. However, as spiritual beings, we understand pranayama much more than the oxygen that we breathe. The biomagnetism that we have within us, that is the life force. And the entire cosmos has, or you can think of it as the world that we live in, the visible universe that we can see, all of it has so many forces over there. And so yogis can imbibe in these kind of electromagnetic vibrations, and they can also maintain their life force with that as well. And when people do various practices that result in cessation of the breath, called the Kevala Kumbhaka, the body is still alive, but the breathing has stopped for a considerable period of time. And this is how yogis can sometimes, they do feats like burying themselves under the earth for a few days and then coming out, nothing happening to them, right? So this concept of imbibing vibrations, that is the electromagnetic vibrations, or the what you would call the biomagnetism of the body, maintaining it, that is what is the real life force. And everything we do, the breathing through the cellular respiration, maintains that within the body. Now, the associated with this life force that we do, there are two concepts that come along in yoga. One concept is called the concept of how we deal with what is stress. And the second thing that comes along with it is that the breathing pattern itself is connected with mind activity. The second aspect you have all realized over here, that when you are doing all these pranayama practices and it has to be done with mindful focus, immediately you begin to realize that your mind begins to calm down. So the mind activity and stress are closely related with pranayama practices. So pranayama is essentially, from a physiological sense, we are talking of the brain and the spine, the central nervous system, that is controlling the breath rate and the heart rate to ensure the flow of nutrients to every cell of the body to allow for the respiration, right? So from a yoga perspective, we will say that when the demands on the system is more than the available supply of energy, of vitality, that's when there is stress in the system. From a medical perspective, when a person is highly in a state where they don't have enough energy and the demands are a lot, it is called the allostatic load is very, very high. Allos is the body related load, is very, very high. So that we consider as how stress comes in the body. Now, as we do these pranayama practices, we can manage it in different ways. However, the first practice that people need to learn to work with all of this is deep, slow, deep breathing with the activation of the lower lobes of the lungs. Typically what happens is when people become chronically stressed or habitually, they develop breathing from the upper lung area. Most people don't realize that their breathing is so shallow that they use less than 10% of their lung capacity. Why do we breathe so shallow? Because of the stress, we lose the diaphragmatic resilience. So one of the first practice that we learn to do is to improve diaphragmatic resilience. There are two practices that are done in order to promote that. One practice is called, it is either diaphragmatic breathing or three-part breathing. We'll do that right now. And the other practice is the slow deep breathing, Dirgha Shwasa as it's called. Both of these are not considered pranayama because these are simply breathing exercises. Similarly, Kapalabhati is considered a cleansing exercises. From a yoga perspective, pranayama is something that regulates the vitality for a higher realization, for the meditative focus. Simply for energizing the body, from a yoga perspective, we don't call it as pranayama, we call it as breathing exercises. So this to promote our diaphragmatic resilience, how can you do the breathing? Does anybody feel any difficulty within the group over here as you inhale, belly coming out, and exhale, going in? Anybody have that difficulty? Nobody? If anybody has that difficulty, to train yourself, it takes a few weeks, but to train yourself, it is relatively easy. So how do you do it? The first thing to understand is, every time you blow your nose, try blowing your nose. When you blow your nose, do you feel the belly go in? You will also feel like the pelvic floor is lifting up. Can you feel that? Now, but then of course you have to do this without strain in the system. So one of the easy ways to do is keep the one hand in the belly and go gently, blow your nose. This is like Kapalbhati, right? So when you do this, this is how you train yourself to develop diaphragmatic resilience. Now, the three-part breathing that is done is around the idea that we have in our right lung, there are three lobes of the lung. It's essentially about how the bronchi divide in each lung and how they go, and there are three segments over there that are called the three lobes. The left lung has only two lobes largely because the heart, which is about the size of your fist, which is slightly on the left side, occupies space, and the big blood vessels that are coming out of it, that also take up some space. So there are only two lobes in the lung around the side of the heart over there and on the back. So the idea is to make all the lobes of the lung breathe instead of only part of it. So the three-part breathing involves not only the lower lung breathing you train, but you also focus on the chest, and as you inhale, open your hands like this, and exhale, go in. So you can try. Inhale, exhale. Now, the third part of the breathing, which is the upper lobe of the lung breathing. How do we do that? Simply by stretching out the shoulders. You can also do it by lifting your hand. So the thing is, basically, this is what the three-part breathing is, to train yourself to use each part of the lung. Now, the most difficult part for people is the abdominal area, that is the lower lobe of the lung pushing into the abdominal area, the diaphragmatic resilience. And of course, you can practice the way I said. Even people for whom even that is difficult, a good way to begin practice for a few weeks is to lie down and keep something heavy in the belly. And as you exhale, feel it sink, and as you inhale, feel it come up. Normally in yoga studios, they have these small sandbags which they keep over there, and they do that, right? So this is the way to train that. Now, couple of things about our breathing is, we can never ever breathe full lung capacity. When we do deep breathing, we can probably extend maximum of 80% of the lung capacity. It is not possible to make use of the full lung. But then normal breathing, we are working at 10% of the lung capacity. When we do a deep breathing like Bhastrika, we are probably ranging somewhere between 30 to 60% of lung capacity. Only when you do very extraordinary deep breathing, which can be a little strenuous, that can you even reach the stage of 80%. So even with deep breathing, we are doing somewhere 30 to 60% of lung capacity. So why is the lung built that way? Well, there aren't any good answers that I have, but there is one thing I want to point out. Nature doesn't build anything like as a waste in our system. So we all think when we breathe, we are taking in oxygen and getting rid of carbon dioxide. We think that as the principal function of the lung. Yes, it is the principal function. But then there is more than that is happening each time we inhale and exhale. In research, it has been found there can be up to 250 different molecules coming out of a person when they exhale. So what are these 250 different types of molecules? Besides the carbon dioxide and this thing, of course, we know that common air has a high proportion of nitrogen and all the whatever. So everything that is not used up will be coming out. So you have a handful of different of these air components that are happening. But then, as part of the cellular respiration, the water is a byproduct in addition to carbon dioxide. So that is why often we can feel moisture coming out of our breathing. So that is another one. H2O is a molecule that is coming out when we breathe. But in addition to this, if you have any toxins in your systems, that too can be expelled by the breathing. So the kind of things that we talk about as toxins, they range in a wide range of things. When you eat something that is not suited for you, you can have your breath having the smell of that coming out because the molecules of that are being expelled by your system. Now, if you get highly stressed, then in which case the toxins forming in your system can come in the form of bad breath coming out of your nostrils. There'll be a difference in the breath. If you feel you're in an environment where you don't feel comfortable, that stress induces the same kind of thing. Now, during the period of time when the COVID initially happened, a large proportion of the people who were dying were because they were getting clots in the lungs. So it is very interesting even though the blood in itself, our system, has anticoagulants built in within the system so that the clots won't form. And why is it important clots shouldn't form? Because if there are any clots that get pumped into as part of the circulation into the brain, the person will get a stroke, right? And so that is why for people who have previously gotten strokes, they're always given anticoagulants, right? But the body has its natural anticoagulants like heparin and things like that. Now, the interesting part is the body has a secondary mechanism of filtering out these clots, and that is actually the lungs. How that happens is the minute things that don't get dissolved are going through the right side of the heart. When they come into the lungs, the capillaries capture them and stay there. And once they stay there, those capillaries get blocked, so that alveoli are not functioning. So the rest of the lungs is what is doing the oxygen exchange. But over a period of time, slowly, the minute particle gets expelled out like dust, very minuscule dust, micro dust coming out, and then the alveoli clears up. So there are so many different ways the lungs function, and that is by expulsion of the lungs is considered a very important cleansing exercise, and that is the purpose of Kapalbhati. The Kapalbhati exercise that we all know, which we just did, the diaphragmatic breathing, same thing. So anybody needs a demonstration of Kapalbhati? The diaphragmatic breathing has already been done. Anybody new who wants it, please speak up. Okay, so you all know how to do it. But the most important thing in Kapalbhati is there can be no strain in what you do. So you train yourself whereby, and how can you begin? You begin by full exhalation. Take a deep breath in, feel the belly come out and compress it. Make sure the shoulder is not lifting up and the body is not shaking too much. But where will you see the motion? The belly will go in and out, and as it goes in, you may feel the pelvic floor lifting up a little. But then what you will also find is that the belly area, the abdominal cavity, is of fixed volume. So as it compresses and comes down, the chest area can have slight movement. The chest is not of fixed volume. The lungs make it like a balloon, and the ribs have the ability to expand. So you'll typically find when you're doing this, there is a reaction that is happening in the lower part of the chest also, and that is normal. But what you don't want to do is, you don't want to see vigorous breathing that lifts up the shoulder and things. Most important is watch your mind. If the mind is calm, you will make sure that you will not do anything strenuously. Okay. So we have covered the three-part breathing and Kapalbhati, but the three-part breathing was a precursor for what is called Dirgha Shwasa, or deep breath. And this Dirgha Shwasa, or deep breath, has a great relaxing impact on the whole system. And in fact, in research that has been done, if people who are normally, all of us in the unconscious breathing, we are breathing about 15 breaths per minute. These days they say it is 15 to 20 breaths per minute. When they say that, it looks like the population overall has become more stressed. But anyway, so the thing is, if you can reduce it to 6 breaths per minute, the tests that have been done, it shows the person has deep relaxation, and people who are hypertensive, their blood pressure goes down. So this, for a high percentage of people, this happens. So how does the Dirgha Shwasa work? Well, let's begin by exhalation. Fully exhale and feel the inhalation. Belly comes out, chest expands, shoulder pulls back like three-part breathing. Exhale, belly goes in, chest collapses. the upper lobe of the lung contracts, goes. Now, the key to this is, as you inhale, it is active. When you exhale, don't try to force out the air. Let it flow on its own. And what you will find is exhalation is typically longer than inhalation. So let's try this Dirgha Shwasa a little bit. And the Dirgha Shwasa is done after the three-part breathing. Once you have mastered the ability to work with the three parts of the lungs, then you decide to do Dirgha Shwasa and you can see the big impact. So let's try that. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Observe how we did it. Again, let's inhale. Exhale in a natural, easy way. Inhale actively. If you carefully time it, you will find it will come to about 10 seconds. Let's try it one more time. So inhalation about 3 seconds. Exhalation. So inhalation is about 2.5 seconds, 2 to 2.5 seconds. And then there is a natural pause, and exhalation is about 6.5 seconds. And there is a natural pause after 6 seconds for the next breath, right? So that's how you do 6 breaths per minute, and it is highly relaxing. Any questions about this basic breathing? Then we get into the pranayama next. Okay, so now the pranayama that are involved.
I have a question.
Yes.
When you breathe in, and then do you pause for a few seconds before you breathe out?
Okay. You don't need to worry about pausing. All you need to worry about is being relaxed. If you are relaxed, there is a natural pause. If you don't relax, you have a hurried way of going to the next cycle of the breathing.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Who is this? I don't see you over here.
This is Lalita Trehen.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Now, let's go on to the pranayama segment. The highest pranayama is considered the Ujjayi pranayama. Ut means that which is above, hierarchically above. Jayi means that which gives victory for you. So how is the Ujjayi pranayama done? Well, the Ujjayi pranayama involves, as all of you have observed, restricted breathing at the throat. It feels like you're sucking as you inhale, and a reverse motion when you exhale. But it has to be done with light effort, without strain. And the inhalation and exhalation must be slow and smooth. So that is the first part of the training. But as the Hatha Yoga texts point out, particularly the Gheranda Samhita, yes, that when you inhale, you can do a visualization of coming from the chest, going upward, and as you exhale, coming downward. So how does it exactly go? Well, all of you here know the Atmanadi concept, that is, the nadi along the front of the body, and as our Vedas tell us, that if you take a span of the stretch of your finger from the Adam's apple down, right where you feel the little sunken area at the lower part of the sternum, that is where exists your, the way it is described in the Narayana Suktam is, Sa, that is that, Brahma, Sa Indra, Sa Akshara, Paramaswarat. right? So the thing is basically Akshara Paramaswarat. That means that is the immortal element in there, which is the what you would call as the presence of your Atma in there. So when you inhale from your Atma going up, you visualize to the top of the head. And as you exhale, you visualize it coming to the middle of the body. So what are you doing? You're inhaling through the Atma Nadi, exhaling down the Sushumna Nadi. And what does the Sushumna Nadi do? Sushumna Nadi is the integrator of your inner program and all the outer elements that hit you. And so in some ways it is similar to gene expression, and the Samana Vayu is flowing along the Sushumna Nadi. And when it is in full balance, you're fulfilling the Swadharma of your life purpose, right? So what is happening is you connect your life purpose with the cosmic intent, with the Atma. And so that is the visualization you do with Ujjayi Pranayama, right? So this aspect, as we understand how this is the reason we do lot of Ujjayi Pranayama. And of course, in order to do other exercise, what we did yesterday about the spinal alignment and the stretching exercise and all of that, how we integrate it with our Ujjayi Pranayama, right? So Ujjayi Pranayama is the most important pranayama. Now, after the Ujjayi Pranayama, what is the next one? Oh, I forgot one element, which from a Hatha Yoga perspective is not considered a pranayama, and that is the alternate nostril breathing. The Hatha Yoga text calls it as Nadi Shodhana Pranayama. Popularly, many people call it as Anlom Vilom Pranayama. In the Hatha Yoga text, the word Anlom Vilom is not there. We believe that has probably come out of some other oral tradition. But from a textual thing, we cannot give you the name Anlom Vilom Pranayama, even though that's popularly used. It is the Nadi Shodhana Pranayama. So from the Hatha Yoga text perspective, then those of you who have had exposure to the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, or if you want to know about it, the Hatha Yoga Pradipika of Swatma Rama is considered the principal text of Hatha Yoga. It has 4 chapters in it. The first chapter deals with the asana elements, and at the same time, in the first chapter, actually it comes into the second. So the first chapter deals with the asana element. The second chapter, as a precursor to the pranayama element, the alternate nostril breathing, Nadi Shodhana, is recommended. I think it may also be there in the first chapter, but it's definitely in the beginning of the second chapter. Okay? But before you do the pranayamas. And after that, it describes the 8 pranayamas of the Hatha Yoga from the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. So the alternate nostril breathing, we think of it as balancing the 2 hemispheres of the brain. And why is that important? What is the role of the central nervous system? We have already discussed. That is to regulate the vitality in our system, namely to make sure the energy production in each part of the body is according to the needs. The central nervous system, the brain, through the nervous system is sensing where how much energy is needed, and accordingly it is sending the right amount of blood and flowing there for oxygen and glucose to go over there, right? So now the 2 hemispheres of the brain, the right hemisphere is considered your creative brain associated with the left side of the body. The left hemisphere is considered the logical brain that controls the right side of the body. This is the conventional physiological view. Now, we think of the left side, the Ida, as the inner being, which means the right side of the brain is associated with your inner being. You can think of it as your genes or whatever. And the left side of the brain is called the Pingala Nadi, that is dealing with the right side of the body and everything we deal with outside. So as you know from the tradition that most of you have grown up, when we give and take, we always do with the right hand, because that is how you engage with the world, the right side of the body. So by balancing the energy element in the two sides, what are we doing? We are forcing the samana vayu along the sushumna nadi to be in complete sync with your swadharma. But again, it is very interesting. It is doing that in a physical sense. The energy is doing it. But at the same time, the alternate nostril breathing is not kicking up the higher meditative awareness. So perhaps that is the reason it is called as Nadi Shodhana. It purifies you, but not necessarily a pranayama that takes the vitality awareness into the higher plane, right? But whatever may be the logic, that is how the Nadi Shodhana practice is considered different from the pranayamas and the Hatha Yoga texts. I don't think in the Tantra tradition they view it the same way, but it doesn't matter. The practice is very useful. Now, when people have difficulty doing this, because remember, when anybody is stressed at any time, if there is any difficulty, if you ask them to come and do alternate nostril breathing and they have difficulty even bring their mind to doing it, then what happens is you can simply have them focus right in the middle, right over here in the hairline, in the middle, top part of the forehead, in the middle. Inhale up there and exhale down. Why? Because what happens is, in the balancing the two hemispheres of the brain, what is happening is, there is right in the middle between the two hemispheres of the brain, there is the corpus callosum, which has more neuron density than even the two hemispheres of the brain, which are very dense in the neurons. And so they are the ones that enable the connectivity on the two sides. So when you do that, that's a quick way to bring balance. But then when you do the alternate nostril breathing, it completes it in a better way. We have tested this. Now, in the case of some cases of epilepsy, where it is not all cases, because there are different types of epileptic seizures that people get. In some kind of epileptic seizures, where they can see that the epileptic seizure is coming because of one side of the one hemisphere of the brain, what they can do is, simply by doing this pranayam, focusing here, we call it as Murdhanya pranayam. And this is not one of the 8 pranayams of the Hatha Yoga tradition. And of course, from the Tantra tradition, in the oral tradition, they say there are 120 pranayam techniques. So there are many more techniques that are involved. So this is a very useful pranayam we have found when in some cases of people getting epileptic seizures. In fact, before people get epileptic seizures, in some cases, they start sensing it even as it's coming. And when they sense it is coming, immediately if they put their finger here and they do the deep breathing, the sensation, the seizure does not come. This has been our experience. So now, going back now, so the alternate nostril breathing, it can be done in many different ways. Now, having recognized what it does, the two hemispheres of the brain, commonly it is thought that most people are more engaging with the external world and more stressed, more on the logical side. So it is important to stimulate the creative side or your inner dimension. So you begin inhalation from the left nostril, that is stimulating the right hemisphere of the brain, because that is the creative brain that most people are not using as much. They are more focused on the logical side. So inhalation activates, exhalation relaxes it. So you begin by inhaling through the left nostril, activating the right brain, and you exhale through the right nostril, relaxing the left brain. Then you inhale from the right nostril to activate the left brain, and then exhale through the right nostril. So this is the reason the Hatha Yoga texts recommend that you begin inhalation from the left nostril. Now, all of you can test for yourself right now. Just bring your fingers close down below your nostril and see where the breath is flowing more. If you find any one side of the nostril with more breath, then in which case all you do is, whichever side has more breath, take a pillow and put it under your arm, under armpit on that side. Automatically the excess breath will become little slower and both sides will become more balanced. So this technique, and of course in the olden days people, these rishis, they used to have something called the Brahmadanda. And the Brahmadanda is a little thing that holds up their elbow like this, and they will place it over there on the ground, and they'll shift it from one hand to the other to keep the thing in balance, right? So, but we can do it by alternate nostril breathing. We can create that balance too. Now, when we do alternate nostril breathing, what are the hand positions involved? It really doesn't matter. It is alternate nostril, that's all. So, commonly, of course, people will close with the right thumb, the right nostril, and inhale through the left, and then close with the ring finger and the little finger, the left nostril, as they exhale through the right nostril, inhale through the right, and exhale through that one, like that. Now, is that the only way to do it? No, you can do it any way you like. Some people will say, I'm going to use the thumb to inhale through the left nostril, and then as I exhale through the right nostril, I'll use the other thumb. So they may go like this. There is no rule why this thing. It is really, the activation is related to the breath. But there is one thing that can improve it substantially more. And what can increase it substantially more is the visualization. So when you inhale through the left nostril, if you visualize the awareness going through under the right eye, going like an arc, turning around like a bow, and coming, once you complete the inhalation, lodging in the top part of the forehead, right at the hairline in the middle. And as you exhale through the right nostril, you feel it come out the other way. Inhale through the right nostril, going that way, exhale through that. That visualization has bigger impact. Now, this kind of visualization, to promote it, some schools of yoga, when they do the alternate nostril breathing, they will have the index finger touching the top like this. So they will inhale from here and exhale from here, the index finger always on the top like this. Any of you notice that? Schools of yoga. So whichever way you do, visualization increases the impact, but the breathing, alternate nostril breathing, whichever way you do, that is what is the impactful thing. I see something come in the chat box, but if anybody has a question, feel free to unmute and speak up. Oh, that's fine.
I have a question, Dr. Rajan.
Yes.
When you're doing from the left side, your breathing, you should go to the hairline or going to the bridge of your top of the nose?
Is that Lalita Trehanji?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I don't see you in the video, but that's okay. No problem. Okay. So say the question again.
When you're breathing from the left nostril, you're breathing up to the hairline, or you're breathing on the upper part of the forehead and going through from the eyes to the right side?
Okay. I'm going to visually show you. When you're inhaling from the left nostril, as the inhalation happens, you're watching mentally the breath go by the side of the right eye, curving and coming right up over here once you complete the inhalation. And when you exhale from the other nostril, you feel it come this way. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. It is. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. So Shashiji, go ahead. You can unmute.
My question is going to take you a little back. We were talking about the Ujjayi breath, and we were visualization was to go from the Atma Nadi, from the Atma Chakra to Atma Nadi up to the top of the head, and then go down through the Sushumna. So that was my question. Why do we go down from the Sushumna?
Okay. See, what happens is the Sushumna is the one where our Swadharma is getting expressed, right?
Okay.
So what happens is when you go down the middle, you're giving along with the breath, the vitality that is along with the breath is coming, the message of the Atma that is being given to the Sushumna.
The Sushumna to realize. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
To fulfill its purpose. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. This visualization comes from our textbook. That is, namely the Hatha Yoga. I think it's from the Ghirnda Samhita. Yes. So I see another hand up. Renuji, go ahead. You can lower your hand, Shashiji. Renu, you have a question? You have to unmute. Okay. So when you're able to unmute, you can ask. In the meantime, I'll continue. Okay. So now the next one we are going to deal with is the Brahmari Pranayama. Now, Brahmari Pranayama is pretty simple. Somebody was going to say something?
Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Rajan, how to improve your hearing problem, Is there any yoga exercise or anything you can do?
That is a different question. Let's hold till we finish our focus on the pranayam, which is the agenda for our today, right?
Okay.
So keep it for the end. Okay. So I've answered this question before, but again, that's fine. So coming back, in the Brahmari pranayam, Brahmari is one of the 8 pranayams of Hatha Yoga, the key element is, yes, Renuji, go ahead, ask the question. You're unmuted.
That's it, Dr. Rajan. This may not be the best time, but if it is, or if it's not, just tell me. I'm very interested in the role of pranayama in epilepsy that you mentioned, that we can do certain maneuvers and we can sort of abort the attack of epilepsy even before it happens. So whenever it's the right time, please educate.
Yeah, I think, we'll keep that as a separate subject later. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so let's continue here. The Brahmari Pranayam, as is commonly done, is you take a deep breath in and where is the sound coming from? The sound is coming from the throat, back of the mouth area. Can everybody try that? No difficulty, right? Now, along with this, some people, of course, will close the ear and it increases the vibration. Notice the difference. When you're doing the vibration is more, the audible vibration is a little more like coarse, but once you close the ear, it becomes a little more subtle. Now, you can feel the difference, how it becomes coarse and subtle, right? Now, some people will use the Shanmukhi Mudra, which is not only closing the ear with the thumb, but placing the ring finger in the middle of the nostrils where the bony part meets the soft part. So that when you press, the nostrils won't close, but only slightly contract. The little finger comes over the lips, the middle finger comes, the tip of it comes in the upper part of the eye socket, the phalange of the middle finger gently touching the eyelids, and the index finger right over the eyebrows. So you do that as the Shanmukhi Mudra. So now, what is the key to doing the Brahmari Pranayam correctly? The key to it is, I'm going to show you two ways in which I do, and you tell me which is correct. I take a deep breath in. You observe that. Second time. Can anybody tell me which is the right way to do it? How many people think the first is the right way to do it? Hands up. Okay? You can bring the hands down. How many people think second is the right way to do it?
See, I cannot say which one is right, but I can say the difference. Once you did the inhale, and other one you did outside.
No, you are wrong. In both times, I only did exhale.
Exhaling. Okay, I felt that one is once you did inhaling and you did.
No. Both of them I did exhale. That's all. Okay? So there were people who raised their hand for the second one. So can you please unmute yourself and say why the second one was the right one?
Because second one felt, like the bumblebee sound was there, more humming sound.
No. Anybody else?
I
I
felt
think it was coming from the throat.
No. Sundar?
I felt for second one, if you are putting your head down a little bit, it has more from your throat. You can feel it. That's what I felt.
No. That is not the key. The key is to do it again and observe carefully.
There was a less stress in second. There was a less stress in the second one.
That is exactly who said that?
Aversion.
Yes, that is exactly what, but if you had noticed carefully, Brahmari Pranayam is most effective when it is done with ease. The first one had a little stress in it. And why is there stress in it? Because it is going, whereas the second one, the second one is what has benefits for you. If you do it the first way, the benefits are not there.
The second one was very calming. It is more calming.
That is correct. That's how you should be doing the Brahmari Pranayam.
Thank you.
Okay? So the thing is, you see, now that we know how the Brahmari Pranayam is done in order for best effectiveness, now, if you look at the textbook, the two textbooks, that is the Hatha Yoga Pradipika and the Gheranda Samhita, they say different things. In the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, the way the Brahmari Pranayam is described is, while you inhale like a male bumblebee, and when you exhale like a female bumblebee. Okay? The Gheranda Samhita says something entirely different. I'll talk about that later. But if you do the way in which the Hatha Yoga Pradipika states, what you would do is, you would do this. Second time.
Rajanji,
Yes.
with this kind of thing, isn't that more stressful when you do that?
Yes, it is. That's why I don't recommend it. In
That's
fact, what happens is this kind of breathing, you'll notice the exhalation is the same as our normal Brahmari, right?
right.
Whereas the inhalation is the one that is a little stressful.
Yes.
Now, what is recommended according to Swami Rama, that this kind of a breathing is recommended for vocal singers. So when you inhale like that, when you're exhaling, you're using the throat area and the back of the mouth, the lower pharyngeal area, as the place from where you're making the sound. But when you inhale, you're doing that whole from the nasopharyngeal area, right from the back of the nose all the way down. You're making that sucking sound when you inhale, right? So that's a little more strain, and that is the reason it is not used by yoga institutions. But then, if we are because we are also referring to the text, that is the reason I shared with this. And so, for people who are singers and you want to clear that area, this may be something that you can try if you want to, but this is not something that we commonly recommend, right?
Dr. Rajan,
Yes.
I've been told the one you just showed that it is good for thyroid people who have thyroid.
Actually, many people think of this when they recommend this as Ujjayi Pranayama. And they do this sucking based trained Ujjayi Pranayama. And this is not Ujjayi Pranayama. And that is how people sometimes demonstrate Ujjayi Pranayama. Okay, so there shouldn't be a confusion. Yes, Ujjayi Pranayama may be helpful for the thyroid. Now, in fact, rather than the common Ujjayi Pranayama, we do the Ujjayi Kumbhaka. And the Ujjayi Kumbhaka is even more powerful for the thyroid. So we don't need to deal with this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, okay. So now, one thing, of course, I forgot was, as part of this exercise, we also want to demonstrate and practice. Of course, since many of you have been doing Ujjayi for a long time, while I described Ujjayi, I did not really work with you to practice at least for a minute or two, right? So let's do that. So I want all of you, people who have been doing Ujjayi for a long time, of course, you know how to constrain in the lower part of your mouth. Do that. Whereas on the other hand, along with that, do the visualization, rising from the lower part of the sternum, going through the front of the body to the top of the head, and exhaling down the middle of the body. Do this as the visualization for 5 or 10 breaths. Let's all practice that. For people who are new, who have not done Ujjayi before, just focus on the throat and that will be good enough. And if anybody has difficulty, ask a question. And it has to be done without strain, in easy flow. Any questions after you did the practice? Anybody? Any difficulty in doing it? Okay, very nice. So people who are new, I would like to see you on the video so that if you're doing it wrong, is there anybody who is new who has not done this before? Okay, then in which case, please do it. I want to see whether you do it right or not. Continue. You're doing all right, no problem. You're fine. And what is the measure of it being done right? It has to stimulate the brain. Yes, go ahead, Vasantji, go ahead. I don't hear you. It looks like you're unmuted, but there is something wrong in the microphone or something. Anybody else hear him? Karthik, you're able to hear him? Yeah, go ahead. Tell me what he's saying. We don't hear you either. It briefly came and went. Oh, now I know what happened. Okay. Vasantji, I know how to correct this situation for you. Let me take care of this. 1 second. Oh, there are people who are in the attendee list. If you like to join the conversation, I have promoted you. And
we can't hear you. We can see your
yeah,
lips.
I'm unmuted at this thing. That's fine. Now, Vasantji, please start speaking.
Big smile for the Ujjayi Pranayama. The big smile. I didn't hear you.
Okay. So the secret for you to be able to be heard is everybody else has to mute themselves. Okay. So the thing is basically, yes. So the key part is yes, because I didn't see anybody new. I was kind of telling about the stretch in the throat. Yes, this is a very good point. Thank you. A good way to train yourself is to feel the stretch in the throat, make a big smile, and you'll find the slight stretch coming in the throat. Thank you very much for pointing this out.
I don't mute it though.
If you're going to say something, please go ahead. I'll mute myself.
Fine. I'm okay. Thanks.
Karthik, you want to say something?
Ujjayi pranayam for a long time. We do this, then we do the shoulder exercise, and then we do all the stuff for a long time. We do Ujjayi pranayam.
So by doing long time Ujjayi pranayam, what is the point you're making?
The other thing is small. I mean, we do Ujjayi for a long time. Then that pranayama is doing a long time. Is there any specific reason for it?
Oh, thank you for asking that question. I don't hear you also unless I mute myself. Okay. So this is a very good question. Is there anybody who would like to offer an answer why it is that we do Ujjayi pranayam for such a long time? Actually, don't worry. The thing is basically, Ujjayi pranayam is the highest pranayam. Think of it. It is the precursor to the highest level of meditation. Okay? It is in what way is the Ujjayi pranayam the highest pranayam? It is because it is connecting with the Atma. It is fulfilling the purpose and coming into the Sushumna Nadi. Coming into the Sushumna Nadi, it is fulfilling the purpose of your birth. It is purifying you and it is increasing your cosmic connectivity. That is why Ujjayi pranayama is the highest pranayama, and that is why it has so much benefit, so much restorative benefit. The Ujjayi pranayama's restorative benefit is overall in all parts of the body. It is anti-inflammatory in its effect, and it can impact any part of the body to reduce inflammation. So that is the reason we do it for so long. So, but this thing, as you asked, okay. So now that people have all done the Ujjayi and it's working good, and the alternate nostril, or everybody is in there. Now let's go on. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention about the alternate nostril breathing is, many institutions focus on whether to hold the breath in between inhaling and exhaling, right? The holding of the breath is not really needed at all. In fact, the holding of the breath is related to the Shambhavi Mudra, where they also squeeze the perineum, which comes from the the Hatha Yoga tradition. And the Shambhavi Mudra creates more impact in the head. And for higher meditation, opening the nadis is needed more rather than creating too much strain in the head system. So Raj Kishorji, you were going to say something. Please speak up. Well, it looks like I have to mute myself in order to hear you. Oh, there are other people who are this thing. Okay. So Raj Kishorji, please unmute yourself.
If I remember correctly, I heard one day being said that the Ujjayi Pranayama could also help you get a sound sleep. So you can do it before going to sleep in the night. So it can be done lying down, or it has to be done.
Absolutely. The thing is basically the Ujjayi Pranayama, think of it. It is connecting with your Atma and balancing your Sushumna Nadi. So that is the reason it will calm you, and as a result of which it becomes easier to fall asleep. Yes? And the part is basically, while it is, the pranayama is always better where it is done seated and the spine is straight. And of course, any yoga practice, spine has to be straight. But the thing is, if you can keep if you're inclined and the spine is straight, or if you're lying in the bed where the spine is straight, if you did Ujjayi, there is no problem. Okay,
Also,
but yes.
I want to add that it also stimulates the vagus nerve, which is the longest cranial nerve, and it also affects the parasympathetic. So that's why it relaxes you.
Excellent. The thing is, you see, I was speaking more from the yoga side, but in the yoga philosophy side and the practice side. But on the other hand, from a physiology side, it actually stimulates the vagus nerve and the glossopharyngeal nerve. Actually, the glossopharyngeal nerve is often not mentioned, but the glossopharyngeal nerve is the one that is efferent in this area of the throat. Glossopharyngeal nerve is the afferent in the area of the throat, whereas the vagus nerve is efferent in that area. Whereas below the throat, the vagus nerve is largely afferent. So both of them are actually helping in the with respect to easing the pharyngeal area for people who have snoring and sleep apnea. Okay, so now let's continue. Somebody put something. So how long should Ujjayi be done? Mr. Virendra Khemsara has asked the question. The answer is, you can do it as long as you want, as long as you don't get tired. Okay? And so in other words, there is no limit. You can just be, and typically what will happen is, it is highly unlikely that people will do it more than 10 or 20 minutes. But if you want to do longer than that, there is no problem. Okay. So now let's go on to the next practice. We wanted to get to the Bhasrika Pranayama, right? And before Bhasrika we will keep as the last. But before that, I want to go to Bahya Kumbhaka and the Ujjayi Kumbhaka before we go into Bhasrika. So how is Bahya Kumbhaka done? So all of you here may have done it at some time. Let's make sure it is done right. We need the resilience in all the part of the lungs. So as we take a deep breath in, feel the belly come out, chest expand, shoulder pull back. And as we exhale, pull up from the pelvic floor, abdominal area goes in, empty the chest and the upper lobe of the lung expels, then bring the chin down to the chest. Hold the chin down. Make sure the back is straight and does not bend, only the chin is bending. Hold the breath. Hold the breath out. That means there is no breath in there. Hold it out as long as you can. And when you can no longer hold out, begin inhaling slowly. Feel the belly come out, chest expand, shoulder pull back. And once the breath is complete, don't leave a spare breath in between. Begin exhaling, pull up the pelvic floor, abdominal area goes in, chest empties, chin down. Hold out. And when you need to breathe in, slowly inhale, take the breath in. So the Bahya Kumbhaka has to be done in continuous breaths. You cannot take a spare breath in between. In order for the Bahya Kumbhaka to have minimum effect, you need to do 3 continuous breaths. Now, for reasonably good effect, if you can do 5 to 10 breaths, that is even better. Okay? So now, let's go on to the Ujjayi Kumbhaka. And Lalita Trehanji was asking about the what is good for this thyroid. But before that, let me tell you the benefit of the Bahya Kumbhaka. The Bahya Kumbhaka has a surprising benefit on the immune system. It enhances the immune system. We have always been puzzled why it does that, but it does that. And when you look at it from a physical sense, the perineum is being squeezed and the abdominal area drawn in, and the process, the abdominal organs are all being squeezed. So for people who have enlarged prostate, urinary bladder condition, they find some relief. And because you're squeezing everywhere, all the digestive organs, including the liver and the belly, they all seem to be stimulated. And the other part is because of the throat being pressured in, the throat is also being stimulated. So these are all the areas where we find some level of benefit. But and we use this practice for anyone who has any problems in the abdominal area. This practice is useful, and it is also something, as I said, surprisingly enhances or stimulates the immune system. Okay, now let's go to the Ujjayi Kumbhaka. And the Ujjayi Kumbhaka is principally recommended for thyroid related problems. And so how do you do it? Regular Ujjayi, but with certain modalities. Interlock the hands and keep it at the waist. And when you inhale in Ujjayi, the same big smiling face or feeling the stretch in the throat. As you inhale, the hand lifts up, and when we have completed the inhalation, it should be in line with your shoulders. And when it's in line with the shoulders, bring the hands to as close towards the chest or the chin as possible, and bring down the chin. So you're retaining the breath. The breath is inside. This is not Bahya Kumbhaka, this is Antar Kumbhaka. And Antar Kumbhaka is rarely done because applying pressure can be dangerous. But so what do? When you inhale and hold the breath, don't apply pressure. Don't pull up the pelvic floor and apply pressure. Just inhale and hold without pressure. When you're ready to release, exhale in between the teeth as you release.
Why?
So the modality of the releasing is, as you exhale between the teeth, the hand is also coming down slowly. There are many aspects of whys over here, so let's go one by one. The first aspect of it is, you need to make sure the hand is at this level and interlocked. I want you all to do the following. Don't interlock the hand and keep the hands like this at the shoulder level, and then interlock the hands and bring it in over here. Do you find any difference happening? You will find this entire area becomes more stimulated when you hold the hand and bring it up here. Whereas when it is loose, this area is not stimulated. So that is why holding it is very important and keeping it in line. You cannot keep it here. It has to be here. And the chin must be touching like your little finger. Most of you don't have the hand in the perfect position, but again, each of you have to do only within your ability, right? So Sudhani, your elbows are too much down. But so whatever it is, the best of your ability, but this is the best practice for stimulating the thyroid. So why is it we breathe in between the teeth? Because what happens is when you exhale in between the teeth, it is restricted exhalation. That restricted exhalation has a rhythmic flow, that the vibration that happens right in the throat area, you can feel it in the throat. But think of it this way. Can you feel there is a sensation in the throat even as you breathe through the in between the teeth? That is why the breathing through the teeth makes a difference. Okay? So now, last of all, let's get to Bhastrika. Did we miss on anything else? Yes. So Sundar, unmute and speak up.
Thank you, Dr. Rajan. So just to clarify, since it has had the kumbhaka, I always, when I exhale, I used to contract the perineum. So we don't do any of those things.
You contract what?
The perineum, like a normal kumbhaka position, you exhale with that, right? When you do a Bahi kumbhak. So in this, there's no...
See, when you're doing it by yourself, I would not recommend it. But the thing is basically the power of the, you're talking of the Ujjayi Kumbhaka or Bahi Kumbhaka?
Ujjayi Kumbhaka. I was relating it to the, since...
No. So I understand your question. In the Ujjayi Kumbhaka, when you do this, I don't recommend it for you, but for people whose nadis are perfectly clear, if they pull up the diaphragm and along with the diaphragm, the pelvis, the pelvic floor will also lift up like Mula Bandha. When that happens, it has a bigger impact on the throat. But on the other hand, you don't need it. And if there is not enough nadi, purity, by doing that compression, it can do damage somewhere. That is why it is not a safe practice.
Thank you.
Okay, I saw somebody put something in the chat box. Let me take a look. Okay, so there isn't anything over there. Okay.
Dr. Rajan?
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to know, after doing Kapalabhati and Bahi Kumbhaka, always we end up by doing a Brahmari. Why?
Okay. See, what happens is Kapalabhati fires up the system.
Mm-hmm.
And because it fires up the system, typically you can feel heat coming in the upper back as well as in the head. It would come in if you do it long enough. So because there is heat coming up in the head, and people can sometimes unwittingly do it in a way where they do it too long or whatever, and some level of strain may come. The gentle Brahmari that is done eases all the any kind of strain that they have created, a tenseness they have created from it. That's the reason I like to do it. You find it is really easing, opening out the head, the heat that might have created.
Okay, same in Bahi Kumbhaka?
In Bahi Kumbhaka, we don't do Brahmari after.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so now let's go on to our Bhastrika Pranayama. Our Bhastrika Pranayama is described in the text as breathing like a bellows. Bhastra means the bellows, so breathing like the bellows. The Hatha Yoga Pradipika and the Gheranda Samhita have some different things they say that complement each other. Now, the Hatha Yoga Pradipika says that the breathing should be rapid. And the Hatha Yoga Pradipika says that after the last inhalation, you should close the, retain the breath, hold the breath within for a little while and do kumbhaka. And when you exhale, close the right nostril and exhale through the left nostril. Okay? This is the instruction of the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Whereas the Gheranda Samhita says something slightly different. But it does not negate this in a whole way. The Gheranda Samhita says that the inhalation should be faster than the exhalation. Okay? So the exhalation must be slower than the inhalation must be rapid, and the exhalation should be slower. Then what it also says is, you should do 20 breaths. And after 20 breaths, you take a deep breath in, hold the kumbhaka and exhale. Hold it for a while and exhale, relax. Then you should do a total of 3 rounds of 20 breaths each. So where does the 20 breaths come from? It comes from the Gheranda Samhita. And at the same time, the idea that inhalation should be faster than the exhalation comes from the Gheranda Samhita. Now, both of them describe that it has to be done like a bhastra, which is the bellows. Now, I don't know how many of you have seen actually the bellows in operation. The bellows, when they operate, the inhaler, it is like a little, this thing, up and down it goes, right? So the up is rapid, up goes like this, but when it goes down, it is not a quick collapse, it is slow. Why? If you do a quick collapse, the force of the air will be too much, and it is meant to, the air is supposed to bring more oxygen into the flame to make it brighter and more heat coming in the flame, right? So if you do very quick exhalation, it is not going to work like a normal bhastra. So inhalation, exhalation. Inhalation, exhalation. Inhalation, exhalation. So that's how it has to work. And of course, there can be no strain in the practice, right? So that is the reason we do the way we do, where you have experienced it and seen the difference, right? So let's all do at least one round of Bhastrika together today. So you can inhale, hold over there, and now we do an exhalation. Exhale. Then inhale. Exhale. Hold a moment. Now, there is nowhere in the literature it tells you have to use hand movement, okay? But you have to do full breathing, which means full inhalation and full exhalation. Maximum inhalation possible, maximum exhalation possible, right? So to do this, the hand motion is now practiced by most yoga schools because it reinforces the movement of the chest cavity, the shoulder, the abdominal area, all of that, to enable full deep breathing. So the hand movement is optional relative to the traditional text. However, it is very, very beneficial, right? So, but remember, don't lift up the hands so high like this. That has no purpose. When you're fully exhaled, the fist is closed and the elbows are by the side of the chest. When you begin inhalation, feel the belly come out and start lifting up the elbows as the chest expands and the chest begins to breathe in. And in the final, open out the palm and stretch the shoulder backward so that the upper lobes of the lung breathe in. And when you exhale, close the fist and bring it down again. There is no need to go very high, okay? So let's begin again. Let's do one round. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 2 inhale. Exhale. 3. Exhale. 4. Exhale. 5. Exhale. 6. Exhale. 7. Exhale. 8. Exhale. 9. Exhale. 10. Exhale. 11. Exhale. 12. Exhale. 30. Exhale. 40. Exhale. 50. Exhale. 60. Exhale. 70. Exhale. 80. Exhale. 90. Exhale. 20. Exhale. Don't do anything, simply keep your eyes closed and observe within. Observe how the sensations from the head slowly dissipate and how you feel a sense of calmness, openness within you. If you feel any cold of a feeling, a cooling feeling after doing Bhastrika, it means the nadis have cleared up. Somebody was not doing the practice. While doing it, they put in a note. Okay. So pelvic floor should be squeezed during Bhastrika. Well, if it happens, it happens. Whereas our focus is more on the belly, inhaling as it comes out and exhaling as it goes in. When you exhale, the pelvic floor may squeeze a little bit. So that's fine. Okay. So now we have gone through all the pranayama exercise. Did I miss anything? This was particularly for people who are new, to make sure all the practice, and for people who joined in between, we had the opportunity to go item by item and each element of it. Did I miss anything? Okay. So today being Sunday, we normally have the extra half hour. Today we have 15 minutes extra. So there are some questions people asked over here. One person asked that for hearing loss, what do you do? I have repeated this answer before, that we always need to know why there is the hearing loss. If it is related to nerve weakness, then in which case pressing the middle finger and the ring finger and doing Ujjayi may help. But again, only by a pre-post measurement, you can tell whether if it is the nerve weakness, and if the nerve weakness is improved, then we should see a change in the nerve reading when we read with our bioval reading. So that is how I would put it. I cannot tell you otherwise. Until we know what the problem is, we cannot have, right?
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
And the other question that was there in the chat box was somebody said that are there any exercises for lower back pain? Okay. See, the answer to that question is the following. We always need to know, why do you have the lower back pain? Okay. So normally, from what has been found from research is that lower back pain is primarily related to not only weakening of the spine or the lower back, but because of stress in the system. Many people have weak lower back, weak spine, degenerated spine, but they don't have any pain because they don't have stress in the system. So the key part is removing the stress. And how do you remove the stress? Just go in front of the mirror and look at yourself. If you find your shoulders are hunched and you're like this, then you have stress in the system. If you're able to sit straight, stand up straight, then you know you are less likely to have stress in the system. What else? Make sure you're sleeping well. And when you're sleeping well, the body does not curl. You're opened up and sleeping nicely. And don't wake up with an alarm. When the eyes open, if you don't feel rested enough, keep your eyes closed and lie in bed. So if you have to go to work and the alarm is going off, then in which case you need to learn to sleep earlier so that you get enough rest. So now, what are the exercises to strengthen the back? Well, when we talk of the back, the bones and the discs are degenerating in the spine. Well, when you do deep breathing and you drink a lot of water, right? By drinking a lot of water and you can, with enough breathing, the discs can be slightly rehydrated. But if they are fully, they are kind of fully, dried up, there is very little that can be done. Okay. But if they are slowly doing damaging, drinking a lot of water and doing Bhastrika Pranayama can be helpful. Somebody else again put something in the chat box. That is any exercise for trigger. Okay. Please try to speak up rather than chat box. That way I don't have to look up. Anyway, so now so what is an exercise to strengthen the back besides the pranayama exercise? You will notice when we do our Ujjayi Pranayama, we do the Ujjayi Pranayama in many different ways, right? We do this shoulder rotation. By the way, the spine damage, the slip disc and all of this disc prolapse that happens, 90% of the cases are related either to the neck or to the lumbar area. And they are typically popping outward behind, not popping forward. For popping forward is a rare cases do happen. But most of the cases are popping out backward in the disc popping backward in the neck area and the lumbar area. So this is the reason what we do is when we do our exercises, we are always trying to strengthen those areas. So how do we strengthen it? When we do our Ujjayi Pranayama, we are doing this exercise here, shoulder rotation. This shoulder rotation, see what it is doing. It is lifting up the spine. The lumbar area is slightly going in. The chest, the thoracic spine is getting its normal curve, and the cervical area is being stretched and pulled. So you can see what is happening there. Next exercise we do is, we do like this, inhale and exhale, right? When we do that, that is a further impact you can see on the spine. The third exercise which we do like this, inhale and exhale. Now what are we doing? In all of these exercises, the muscles that hold the spine, they are being stimulated. So the thing is, the answer for the person who asked about the pain in the back pain is, these are do these pranayama exercise, these 3 exercises: shoulder rotation, expanding, and this one and this expansion. Do this for 20 breaths, each one of them, with Ujjayi Pranayam. That can give you some benefit, but the most important element is learn to relax more, reduce stress in the system. Right? Any questions related to that? Okay. The next question is that as people age, lot of people have the in the knuckles and these areas in the hand, not only pain comes, it also freezes sometimes. It even happens to me that one day I was doing something, suddenly this finger went like this. I could not straighten it. I had to take the other finger to lift it up, right? So these kind of things, the aging, this is basically arthritic problem. So what happens is, as long as I am doing my daily yoga practices and I'm keeping my schedule, they all work very well. If for about 4 days I don't get to do my practices because I am distracted with other things that I need to do, I have to deal with it. So do daily practice. That is your answer. Okay. Somebody else put something in the chat box again. Okay, done. Okay. Now, any other questions from anyone?
No meditation today?
No, we have, our time is over, so we didn't have time for it because our focus was on the breathing practices for beginners to begin and join us. So tomorrow you'll have everything together. So go ahead. Those of you who have questions, unmute and speak.
Dr. Rajan, I have a question.
Yes.
Happy New Year to you. जैसे आपने बताया था कि in the morning I do this Ujjayi Pranayam for 15 minutes and then I do Kapalbhati and then I do this meditation. So what is the best sequence to do meditation? When should I do the meditation?
Okay. The best sequence for meditation relative to pranayam that you're asking is doing Bhastrika Pranayam or Ujjayi Pranayam immediately before meditation is the best sequence. Okay. Kapalbhati can be done earlier, that is okay. But the thing is basically, if you are, what are the practices you said? What is the first practice you do?
Ujjayi Pranayam, and
Okay.
then I do Kapalbhati, and then I do some neck exercises and breathing, and then I do this meditation. But I thought maybe I can clear with you what is the best sequence.
My recommendation for you, if you like to do that, is start with Kapalbhati first.
Okay.
Then do your neck exercises, then do the Ujjayi, and then go to meditation.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, go ahead. Those who have questions, unmute. Speak up, Renu.
Dr. Rajan, you talked about the thyroid stimulation. What kind of thyroid conditions get benefited by pranayama?
Actually, in this particular case,
yes, sir,
I think it is about hypothyroidism. That is when the thyroid is not active enough.
Low. Yeah.
Now, what has happened is, in one of the cases that I have heard, in one of those cases, what we have heard is that there was a person for whom the thyroid had been taken out because of the hyperthyroidism. And after a little while, the person forgot to reorder the medication and was not taking any medications for a while. And during going for the annual blood test, the thyroid, everything was normal, and the doctor said, continue with your thyroid medication. That's when the person realized, I have not taken the thyroid medication for 1 year. And then they said, how is it possible? Your thyroids are all normal. Your thyroxine levels are all normal. How is it possible? And when they looked at it, the thyroid had actually grown back. Okay,
Right.
so this was a very strange case.
Mhm.
So I cannot tell you, until we actually see evidence, we cannot tell you what are the different benefits. But this definitely stimulates the thyroid to get a right balance in there. So it may be helpful for hyperthyroidism, but I don't know the answer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Yes, Aruna Katuria, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, can you explain a little bit for spinal mantras we do, how we should be do the right way, and what's benefit out of it?
The right way is you just want to keep your back straight and your legs stretched out and mentally visualize the flow. So, what is the benefit of this? The key word is we found that there were initially I had recommended this for a couple of people, and these two people had remarkable benefit. One person in Houston had, if the person used to go daily for morning walk, and the person used to get a right knee pain. And so as a result of which the ability to continue the walking and things was being affected. The person, after doing this for about a couple of months, found that the pain permanently went away. Okay? Now, the second person, the person had some kind of an issue in the neck which had been there for many years, for at least 2-3 decades. And the person doing this Ujjayi, the spinal mantra, after doing it for like 3-4 months as part of our regular sequence, one day as the person was doing it, the person suddenly felt a click, and after that all the neck problem was gone. Okay? So the thing is, these were the two cases where some kind of a very profound impacted. Now we tested it for a group of about 40 people within our group. We had asked after a period of 2 months of regularly doing, what changes did you find? Anybody who had any kind of spine pain in the spinal related pain. And what we found was 60% of the people reported their level of pain had substantially improved. Okay? So what happens is, again, the reality is 100% of the people may not find any relief from this pain or any improvement from doing this practice. But if 60% of the people are finding benefit, that to me is very persuasive. And given that we have a significant number of senior population here, and spine degeneration is a common age-related problem, that is the reason we do the spinal mantra on a regular basis, right?
Yeah. But, sometimes we do slow, sometimes we do fast.
Okay.
So it doesn't, looks like it did not get benefited, I don't know, I'm doing something wrong.
The answer is whether you do fast or slow doesn't matter. Okay? The real part that matters is visualizing the vibration flow from the foot all the way to the back of the head, right? So these days I tend to keep the fast one going because people are all used to it. But at an earlier time, I used to alternate between slow and fast, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
the thing is, these days I keep only the fast one going because fast visualization going. Yes. Raj Kishore, yes.
Thank you, doctor.
Do you have a preference between fast and slow? Aruna Kathuria, do you have a preference between fast and slow?
If it's slow, then I can follow easily.
Okay.
If it's
So what
slow.
I'll do is I will get the slow one and make it standard, and we'll see how it goes for you. Okay?
Thank you very much. Appreciate
You're welcome. And Raj Kishore, please, so what is your, go ahead.
I have one question, Dr. Rajan, about the spinal mantra. Normally, in the practice with you, we first do all the spinal alignment and then we do the mantra at the end. Do you think the mantra alone, without me doing the spinal alignment, will work as well?
There is one person who was doing only the mantra because the person needed this for their specific health related problem.
Mhm.
So we had sent the recording and the person was doing it on a regular basis.
Mhm.
And that person did find benefit from it.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Raj Kishore, you wanted to say something? Let me mute myself, otherwise I won't hear you. Oh, I have muted a lot of people out here, so please unmute yourself, Raj Kishore.
Many of the exercises are recommended that you do visualization. Now, I can speak for others, but I have a hard time visualizing.
Yes. So don't worry about it. See, what happens is visualization exercise are only like what I call as icing on the cake. But the cake itself is sweet enough. Why do you need the icing if you have difficulty digesting it, right? Don't worry about it.
I think that maybe because I'm not able to visualize, I don't get the benefit. So
No. It is only incremental benefits.
that makes me feel better. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we'll close over here. It is past 7:30. So see you all tomorrow. Namaste.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rajan. It was very good, explanation, and it's very clear.
Yeah, it's very
Clarified all
useful.
the
Thank
benefits.
you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.